The entire Naruto series has spanned 15 full years, and when it finally ended, fans were so upset that Kishimoto-sensei said, "Here, have this," and gave us Boruto. Love it or hate it, or love it. You have no choice. Boruto continues on, but for such a fresh series, a lot of fans might wonder what built up to the Boruto series. What's the history? I literally just started with Boruto and didn't even know there was a show before it. Well, have no fear. Your local Naruto historian is here. Let's get to work with a quick timeline of events. Close to 1,000 years ago, we have prehistory. We call it that because nobody cared to make a book or anything really describing it to us. We know they could read and write because we've seen them do as much, but I guess for a group of people who decided that the coolest names for the two countries would be the land of this and the land of that, we can't really expect much. That is, until a certain group of people appear. Enter Kaguya and Ishiki Otsutsuki. As Otsutsuki, their whole shtick is being an invasive species and killing everything for their own benefit. They decide to plant a big-ass tree that's designed to literally suck the life out of the planet like a freaking straw. But to do that, someone has to sacrifice themselves. Ishiki's like, "Okay, Kaguya, time to get in the creature's mouth." But Kaguya was like, "Lol, Uno reverse card," and cuts bro in half. For some reason, she decides to only feed the Ten Tails the lower half of Ishiki, while the upper half pulls a Darth Maul and slinks away seething. He jumps into a wandering monk's ear and makes bro his new servant. Why Kaguya did this, I don't know, but at this point I'm halfway sure she's just bipolar, so I guess that's the answer. She decides to see what this humanity has to offer. She meets the king, and the king was like, "Damn girl, wanna have an affair or something?" And Kaguya was like, "Sure, okay." She ends up getting pregnant, but totally forgets the king's rule of not assaulting foreign dignitaries, and bro decides to have her whacked. All he manages to whack is Kaguya's favorite handmaiden though, and so Kaguya was like, "Oh hell no." She goes, takes the fruit, and decides that everyone should sleep with the fishes, literally. But halfway through, she feels bad, I guess? And she sets some people free, only wiping their memory. But she still rules over them with an iron fist, and occasionally sends them off to become tree fertilizer. As I said, she might be bipolar. Anyway, she pops out two offspring who are half human, half horn alien. One has very special eyes, and the other just has regular eyes. I don't know. Probably about 20 years later, said boys are older now, and end up seeing that their wonderful mom might not be as wonderful as she seems. She's pretty much taken over the world and is killing people every so often. They decide to have a civil conversation with her that ends with her saying, "I gave you life and I can take it away too." She merges with the god tree to become a monster, and then she takes La Chancla to her kids for about a month, until the two boys decide it's time to move out and send her to the old folks' home that we call the moon. Oh yeah, by the way, the moon was created in this battle, and nobody cared enough to write it down. So the guy with the special eyes, Hagoromo, decides to stay here, while his brother, the less specialized boy, decides that he's a mama's boy and wants to live on the moon. More years pass. Hagoromo is now the father of two boys. I guess twins run in the family. Just like before, one is born with special eyes, and the other is born with not special eyes. But unlike before, the one that was sweet as a pixie stick is the one with stupid regular eyes. And that makes the one with the actually cool eyes kinda jealous. Basically, the one with cool eyes said, "You like your other son more than me," and Hagoromo was like, "Yes." So Indra, the cool-eyed boy, decides that he's gonna use chakra for evil and decides to destroy everyone. He fails though, and swears eternal vengeance against his family. He says that he'll keep reincarnating over and over and over again until he proves that he should have always been the favorite. But Ashura, the not special-eyed boy, decides to swear eternal not vengeance with his father, and vows to reincarnate to prove why he should always be the favorite. Hagoromo, having had enough of their crap, decides to just have a stroke and die. Thus begins the Warring States period. Now, once again, nobody cared enough to write anything down during this time. I guess it's because they just didn't really care about anything else except making babies and killing each other in an endless war that ironically was never called a world war. I mean, the Fourth Shinobi World War is more or less just a coalition against terrorism, and that's called a world war, but the bloodiest war in history? Nah, just a feud. 100-ish years before Naruto. Anyway, about 900 years or so after Kaguya and Ishiki came to Earth, Ishiki is still alive inside of Jigen and is biding his time. The descendants of Indra and Ashura have called themselves the Uchiha and Senju respectively, and they hate each other so bad they don't even remember why. They probably could have stopped for a while and maybe thought it out, but as a people who can't even remember to keep a journal about the history of the world, they decide it's better just to tell their family that it's duty, just keep going. That is until two babies are born. One's name is Hashirama Senju and the other's name is Madara Uchiha. And before you guess, yes, these are the two reincarnations of the two sons of Hagoromo. You'd think they would hate each other, right? No. They actually meet by a river and have a pissing contest. They become BFFs for real. Their family pulls them apart though, and in some twisted Romeo and Juliet-like crap, Hashirama wants Madara to forsake his name. For a rose by any other name is just as sweet. But Madara decides, nah, I'm just gonna kill ya, and flushes their entire friendship down the toilet like the little turd he is. So the war continues. All of Hashirama's brothers die save the overly serious one, and the same is true of Madara, though his last brother is killed by Hashirama's overly serious brother. In his last moments on Earth, Madara's brother rips out his own eyes and gives them to his blind bro. Madara decides to use those eyes to get revenge, but sadly, he was a crappy leader, and his entire clan surrenders out from under him. Hashirama wants him to be a friend, but Madara's like, KYS. Hashirama says, fine, maybe I will, and Madara's like, wait bro, I was just joking. Don't do that. And so the two become friends again and decide to build a single village with all their pals. Despite this, Madara continues to be toxic and literally threatens the lives of two dignitaries, saying, listen peewees, we're stronger than you. Swear loyalty to us or we'll kill ya. Madara does not kill them, but he does teach them what intimidation is, and so those nations begin intimidating all the other little nations around them and end up starting little wars all over the place. Hashirama's like, bro, seriously? And Madara's like, can I still be second Hokage though? Yeah, that wasn't happening. And because he didn't get his way, Madara decides to start yet another war with the Senju, but the Uchiha are like, man, we're living in peace. We've finally decided that dying for no reason is uncool, go screw yourself. Madara, having been told no a second time, decides to kill everyone, and essentially leaves the server called Konoha, only to sock puppet about 12 times, getting kicked by Hashirama alone. Then Madara decides to bring the Nine Tails with him, and Hashirama's like, hell no, I'm about to end this guy's whole career. So he waits until Madara can hardly keep his eyes open during battle and stabs him in the back. Madara dies, but he casts a jutsu to undo it, and undies about 2 days later after Tobirama was done with his autopsy. Bet that was fun. Gotta know how damn eyeballs work. Hashirama decides to take his wife and says, dear wife, would you like me to put a new life into your tummy? And she's like, yes, Hashirama. So Hashirama seals the Nine Tails inside of her. Mito is probably like, that wasn't what I had in mind. Hashirama then discovers that his main gimmick of using wood jutsu is actually really good at capturing tailed beasts, so he goes and encroaches upon 8 other sacred temples and decides to turn the most dangerous and venerated spirits in the world into his little purse chihuahuas. But what's worse, Tobirama makes him sell them to other nations. Ah yes, selling weapons of mass destruction to my enemies could never go wrong. A whole world war starts. And as Hashirama's dying on the battlefield for undisclosed reasons, I'm sure his last thought was, I wish I never listened to Tobirama. Ironically, Tobirama became second Hokage here, but that didn't last much longer than a month because he died just a little later to the Gold and Silver brothers after passing his title off to literally the first person he could think of, which was Hiruzen. Another bad choice by Tobirama. 40-ish years before Naruto. So begins the era of the empty chair. Hiruzen literally makes the worst decisions possible, and that leads to not only 1, but 2 world wars. The last one he surrendered in while winning. At this time, he takes on 3 students, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. Fun fact, Tsunade was Hashirama Senju's granddaughter. He trains them up as best he can, but Orochimaru was always a bit of a snake in the grass. Sometime during this era though, a bunch of nations got together and conspired against Konoha's greatest ally, Uzoshigakure, also known as the Hidden Eddy Village. At that time, a young girl named Kushina transfers to Konoha. A woman and man who had already left the village gave birth to a baby and named it Nagato. By the way, remember when I said Madara Uchiha undied? Well, after escaping, he used Hashirama Senju's cells to fix his wounds and then cloned the guy. I don't get it, but Hashirama Senju's cells basically become a miracle substance from here on out. Not only did they heal Madara's wounds, but they also bestowed upon him the legendary dojutsu known as the Rinnegan, only ever awakened by Hagoromo, and literally everybody else from the Boruto series. Sadly though, he's already an old prune by this time and cannot use them, so he takes them out and gives them to the newly born Nagato, who would grow up believing that they were his to start with. During the Second Shinobi World War, Jiraiya finds Nagato and his friends and decides to train them before leaving them again. He then decides to train a young shinobi named Minato Namikaze, as well as 2 other unimportant pupils. Poor guys. Minato ends up getting a crush on Kushina. Yes, these are the parents of Naruto, just in case you didn't know. During the Third Shinobi World War, Minato gets recognized as one of the most powerful shinobi in the world, and even trains another person who would become Hokage, that being Kakashi. He also trains Rin and Obito. Rin dies, but Obito actually survives and basically becomes Ninja Darth Vader to Madara's Ninja Emperor Palpatine. After being crushed by a rock, Obito gives his Sharingan to a half-blinded Kakashi. Definitely not something he'll regret later. He accepts his fate and prepares to die, but instead he's rescued by Madara, who decides this boy should be half Hashirama Senju, and gives him a freaking body transplant because Hashirama Senju's cells are just that, hacks. Madara then tells him about cause and effect, love and hate, and gives him a demonstration. Madara gets Rin killed but doesn't tell Obito that he killed her, which causes Darth Obito to fully commit to the dark side. Madara then decides to entrust the future of his plan to a 12-year-old and self-oofs by turning off his life support system. His last words being something akin to, "You better bring me back to life, ya hear?" During this time, Obito roams the world, making allies and seeding discord. He tries to befriend Nagato, but when Nagato's friends get in the way, he manipulates Hanzo and Danzo, no, they're not related, into having them killed. This cripples Nagato and causes him to change his name to Pain. Pain accepts Obito. As the Third Shinobi World War comes to an end, Konoha decides that they've had enough. So Hiruzen goes the way of Richard Nixon and resigns before he can be impeached for being a total loser. Instead, he names Minato Namikaze as the 4th Hokage, and the Fire Daimyo, a guy who looks like he couldn't care less, says, sure, why not? So Minato became the Hokage. Naruto Prelude, 1,000 years after Kaguya. Minato and Kushina love each other very much, and so they decide to have a baby. A tiny little bean in the oven is conceived and named Naruto, but Kakashi is depressed because everyone he loves died. So Minato decides to remind him why life matters by making him his wife's personal bodyguard. However, after Kushina comes to full term, Darth Obito shows up to take Kushina's Nine Tails because, as it turns out, the secret plan Madara told him was that they could use the 10 Tails to cast the world into a dream world, where everything is perfect, and all it would require was the simple task of capturing 9 gods. Easy peasy, right? Well, he knows that the sealage Jinchuriki has weakens when a woman is giving birth, so Obito decides to crash Naruto's 0th birthday party and kill his mom. He manages to pretty much do that, but forgets that Minato is Minato and ends up getting his ass whooped and kicked out of the village. Minato manages to seal half of the Nine Tails into his son while taking the other half with him to the grave. Naruto is then left orphaned, and Hiruzen decides to become Hokage again. What could go wrong? Well, let me list the things. Number 1, the Uchiha clan end up being massacred because Hiruzen didn't stop Danzo from being racist. Number 2, the Hidden Cloud village attempts to kidnap Hinata Hyuga for her Byakugan, but fails and then later pledges war unless Hiruzen turns over Hiyashi Hyuga. Instead, Hiruzen sends Hiyashi's twin brother instead. Never be a twin in the Naruto world. Number 3, Orochimaru experiments on like 100 different villagers, and then when Hiruzen finds him and literally everyone says, kill him, Hiruzen decides to peace out and let Orochimaru escape. Number 4, despite knowing who and what Naruto is, he decides that the best way to take care of him is to let the 4-year-old take care of himself in an apartment all by himself, and then he refuses to stop the village from committing hate crimes against him. Despite Naruto being a hero, Hiruzen lets him suffer because he doesn't want to take responsibility. As you can see, there's a reason why he was almost impeached, but despite this, Naruto somehow manages to stay optimistic, mostly by becoming a juvenile delinquent. This sets off the spark inside of him that makes him want to become Hokage, so he joins the academy where he fails multiple times. Naruto era, 1012 years after Kaguya. Naruto finally passes the test only after stealing a scroll and reading how to do a harder version of the ninjutsu he couldn't do before. For real, what are they teaching these kids in school? If Naruto can learn a harder jutsu just by reading about it, then what the heck was Iruka-sensei doing in that classroom? Well, after graduating, Naruto's like, oh boy, I get to be a genin. I sure hope I get to be on a team with Sakura, and I sure hope that stupid Sasuke isn't gonna be there. Naruto then gets put on a team with Sakura and Sasuke. Kakashi is chosen to be their sensei, and he tests their teamwork by making them try to solve an impossible task. He has to set the bar super low because Naruto is Naruto, and in the end they pass it and go on to become his students. But it's not all it's cracked up to be. Naruto's like, believe it, I want a cooler mission, one with death and fighting and constant danger, and Hiruzen's like, okay, let me hook you up. This is the start of the Land of Waves arc. and they have to follow an old guy back to his village that's owned by the ninja mafia, but along the way they get attacked by 2 different teams of mercenaries. They manage to beat both, but Kakashi's use of Obito's Sharingan leaves him bedridden. During this time, Naruto trains himself half to death and meets the series' first gender-fluid character, Haku. He's a pretty boy that likes pretty dresses, but will also kill you deader than a possum on a highway if you threaten his master. Naruto befriends Haku, but does not realize that Haku is his enemy. Naruto also meets another boy who he doesn't like but ends up becoming friends with, named Inari. In the end, they have to fight Haku and his master Zabuza on the bridge, where we get a Sasuke death fake-out that makes Naruto awaken his Nine-Tails powers. Naruto comes to realize that the world sucks, and that good guys can be just as bad as bad guys, and proceeds to make Zabuza cry with his Talk no Jutsu. Zabuza sacrifices himself to kill his employer and avenges the death of Haku, and everyone goes home. Despite this only being their first real mission, Kakashi decides to put them in the Chunin exams. He's like, yo, Hiruzen, I'm speedrunning these kids. I want to put them in the exam. Hiruzen accepts, and then Asuma and Kurenai decide to do the same. Thus, the Rookie 9 are born. Everyone signs up, and Rock Lee beats the crap out of Sasuke, only to have a manly cry with Might Guy before doing 1,000,000 laps. As the exams start, Naruto is faced with his kryptonite, a written test. But through gutsiness and plot armor, he manages to pass. Then comes the Forest of Death, where Orochimaru shows up creepily and decides to hyperfixate on owning the body of a young boy. Bro might as well have showed up in a white van offering candy. He bites Sasuke's neck and gives him the world's most evilest hickey and then flees the scene. Sasuke, with his newfound hickey powers, ends up halfway destroying Orochimaru's not-so-loyal servants who have come to kill him. He only stops when Sakura reminds him that true power comes not from hickeys, but from love, something that becomes a main theme in the series. They survive the Forest of Death and end up going on to the final round, which is a fist fight. Sasuke, however, for fear of succumbing to the hickey, decides to fight with only his fists instead of ninjutsu and actually manages to pass. He then has Kakashi put an evil hickey sealing jutsu on him to make sure that the thing doesn't cause him any more issues. After the first rounds, they get a month off, and Naruto meets with Jiraiya and decides to learn how to become a better shinobi. For a month they train, and Naruto learns to utilize his tailed beast as well as his Rasengan. All the while, Kakashi teaches Sasuke how to use Chidori. The Chunin exams finally continue, but get crashed by Orochimaru, who kills Hiruzen. Such a horrible loss for Konoha. Naruto and Sasuke end up beating up Gaara, who was actually supposed to be a threat, but just had a mental breakdown and ran home. Despite beating him up, they still let him run away, making it the most useless fight ever. But hey, Naruto's let's be friends personality is enough to push through even schizophrenia and makes Gaara normal. After this though, Konoha needs a new Hokage, so they decide the best person to choose is an alcoholic woman who spends her golden years gambling in Naruto, Las Vegas. They go there but find that she's meeting with Orochimaru. They fear that she's joining him, but instead she betrays the Snake Man and tries to kill him. Tsunade, despite being a doctor, is scared of looking at blood, so the more she fights, the less effective she'll become. But with Naruto and Jiraiya's help, she is victorious. Returning home, Sasuke is pissed off at Naruto. He basically says, why are you Kishimoto's favorite? I work hard all day and I only learn Chidori. Then you hang out with an old grandpa outside a woman's bathhouse and now you can topple gods? And Naruto's response is basically, cope. So the two fight and nearly kill each other and Sakura, but they're stopped by Kakashi, who tells them that they're all idiots. Later that night, the Sound Four show up and tell Sasuke that the power of his Hiki will be enough to grant him the power of fratricide, and that all he has to do is come over to Orochimaru's house. Sasuke decides to take this offer up, but Sakura tries to stop him, and he gives the most confusing love confession to her before knocking her ass out. Naruto and the others decide to go after Sasuke, but each get caught by the Sound Four plus Kimimaro, who is another member nobody mentioned until now. But with the help of Rock Lee and Gaara, the Sound Four are defeated. Naruto fights Sasuke at the Valley of the End, and Naruto's like, what does Orochimaru have that Konoha doesn't have? And Sasuke says candy and fratricide. So the two fight, but Sasuke beats Naruto and leaves the village. End of Shippuden, 1015 to 1017 years after Kaguya. Naruto, after training with Jiraiya for about 2.5 years, finally comes back to the village, ready to hunt Sasuke down and free him from the Hiki Snake's control. But before he can do that, he learns that Gaara got kidnapped by the Akatsuki, and so he's sent to rescue Gaara. As he does though, he finds Gaara is already dead. So Sakura and Chiyo, who is the source of misery in the Hidden Sand basically, fight against Sasori and kill him before Chiyo gives her life to save Gaara. Deidara escapes though. Sasori, despite having been evil, decides to tell everyone about his planned meeting with Kabuto at the Tenchi Bridge. Returning to Konoha, they decide to send Team 7 along with the new member, a pale boy in a crop top named Sai, who despite smiling doesn't actually know what a smile is. He also has a killer tongue tattoo, but that's not important right now. Or maybe it is. See, he secretly works for Root, which is a secret organization within the Anbu. It's like the CIA of the CIA. It's also run by Danzo, that guy who seems to love manipulating people into killing each other. He tells Sai, hey, go kill Sasuke, he's the only Uchiha I missed. And Sai agrees because he doesn't have a personality of his own to argue back with. They meet at the bridge, but their ambush is discovered, and Orochimaru proves why he's superior to Naruto by catching him in version 2. They escape, but Sai rushes ahead to join Orochimaru, telling him he wants to join his group, and despite being a shinobi, Orochimaru naively allows this. Sai finds Sasuke and tries to kill him, but at the last moment he decides not to because apparently he's decided to have a personality now. They find the place, but Orochimaru escapes. But not before Sasuke decides to try and kill Naruto though, proving to the audience that he is a threat. After this comes the arc where they hunt down the Akatsuki. The main antagonists for this arc are Hidan and Kakazu. Kakazu is an Akatsuki member who kills every partner he gets, so Obito decided to hook him up with a cult member who literally can't be killed, because apparently those exist. For real, Hidan's whole existence busts the Dragon Ball world. If you can just choose to be immortal, why don't we get more of that? Anyway, they get cornered by Asuma Sarutobi's group, and by the way, Asuma is the son of Hiruzen. Or shall I say he was, because Hidan decides to turn him into a pincushion and kill him. While this happens though, they send Naruto to create a new technique, and he does, but they call it a forbidden technique and tell him to never use it again. He ignores this though, and does it anyway. He helps hunt down Hidan and Kakazu and uses his technique to kill Kakazu, while Hidan ends up decapitated and buried. Elsewhere, Sasuke is finally fed up with Orochimaru and decides to kill him before he can take over his body. Orochimaru's like, you fool, this wasn't even my final form, but Sasuke just stares him down and kills him in that form too. Little did Sasuke know, Orochimaru's Hiki was for more than just show. Sasuke decides, now's a good time to kill my brother, so he goes and gathers his own villain team and heads off after him. All the while, Jiraiya goes to the village hidden in the rain and discovers that Nagato, now called Pain, is behind the Akatsuki, and Pain flat out kills Jiraiya without even caring about their history. Man, so cold. He just throws bro's kindness away like that. There was much popsicle melting in Naruto's future from then on. Sasuke finally finds Itachi and says, I am Sasuke Uchiha. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Itachi's like, but bro, you don't even have the Mangekyo's Sharingan. I don't need them, Sasuke says. Itachi proceeds to show him exactly why he needed them before dying suddenly of tuberculosis. But before he does, he seals away the Hiki on Sasuke's neck along with Orochimaru, who was secretly still alive. Sasuke laughs at this. Haha, victory by default, the greatest of all victories. But his happiness doesn't last long because Darth Obito takes him to the side and says, your brother actually was coerced into killing your clan. Sasuke was so upset. Why couldn't you tell me this sooner? So Sasuke changes his target to Konoha and decides to kill everyone involved in the plot against the Uchiha. Sad Naruto is still moping around, so Tsunade decides to send him to live with some frogs. While there, Naruto learns to become a sage. But while he's gone, Pain decides that he's had enough of waiting and decides to go Thanos and do it himself. Sadly, Naruto's out for milk right now, so this attack is meaningless. That is until Naruto shows up wearing his master's Haori. You know you're cooked when bro comes wearing the clothes of the man you killed. Naruto and Pain fight so hard that the quality of the animation drops massively. In the end though, Naruto tells Pain, yes, I do hate you, but I'm not gonna kill you because I don't want to be a bad guy. Pain dies anyway though, because plot justice. Tsunade's in a coma, and so she has to be replaced by Danzo, who fancies himself as the 6th Hokage and starts looking for a good place to put his face up on the rock. Probably facing toward the Uchiha compound so we can always see his handiwork. Turns out that all of his actions were based out of jealousy toward Hiruzen because he wanted to be Hokage more, and now he is Hokage. But at his age, he can't shake his personality, so when the 5 Kage meet to discuss who the leader of the allied shinobi forces is, he tries to cheat with one of his million stolen Sharingan. But he's not as sly as he thinks because Ao catches him double dealing and gets bro ejected from the game. It's at about this time that Sasuke shows up that says, my name is Sasuke Uchiha, you killed my father, prepare to die, and chases Danzo out onto a bridge where he proceeds to kill Danzo. Or so he thought. Turns out Danzo has nothing but Uno reverse cards packed up his sleeve, but Sasuke has something even better than Uno reverse cards. A crazed and obsessed girl who he can give hickeys to whenever he wants. Drinking her like a juice box, Sasuke manages to outlast Danzo and kills him, while Darth Obito challenges the world to another war. And despite everyone being on the same side right now, they decide to call it a world war anyway. So with Danzo dead, the fire daimyo's like, well damn, who's left to become Hokage? Everyone in Konoha plays a massive game of not it, which Kakashi loses, so he becomes the 6th. Tsunade later wakes up and realizes she got fired. As the war starts, they send Naruto away as he and Killer Bee are the only Jinchuriki whose tailed beasts aren't captured. They meet on Turtle Island and they train, where Naruto has to hug it out with himself. He confronts Kurama, but when he can't win, he calls up his mom. She comes down from heaven with her LeChancla and beats Kurama half to death with it and lets Naruto take his chakra. Naruto uses this to achieve a form that only the Nine Tails can achieve and then uses that to realize that a whole freaking world war is going on. Feeling overwhelmed with FOMO, he and Bee rush out to join it. During the war, Itachi comes back to life, as does Pain, but after seeing the light because a crow looked at him funny, Itachi decides it's better to just team up on the cripple and seals him away forever. He then rushes off after Kabuto, Orochimaru's little friend, and Sasuke follows after. They manage to defeat him with a special genjutsu and Itachi gets to go to heaven. Sasuke decides it's better to have Orochimaru around than dead and has him revived with the hiki on the neck of Uncle Mitarashi. Together they bring Hashirama Senju, Tobirama, Dumb Ol' Hiruzen, and Minato Namikaze back to life. They then rush off to fight in the war. Turns out Obito never needed the Nine Tails at all because he had the Gold and Silver brothers, both of whom had Nine Tails chakra inside of them. They get fed to the Ghetto statue and it becomes the Ten Tails. It kills a lot of people, including Neji Hyuga, and then blows up all the main hero's parents before being absorbed by Obito. But with the power of friendship, they managed to rip it right out of him. During this time, Madara Uchiha managed to return to life after Zetsu forced Obito to utilize Samsara of Heavenly Life. Madara pokes Obito real hard with a big stick and then pulls out Naruto's tailed beast and becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. But Naruto and Sasuke are saved by a Deus Ex Machina when Hagoromo shows up and says, "Surprise, you're both reincarnations of my sons. I've decided to finally stop showing favoritism and give you both proper love." He then gives Sasuke a Rinnegan and Naruto a new transformation. They go to fight Madara, but Madara suddenly swells up like a balloon and pops, turning into Kaguya Otsutsuki, who apparently was the puppet master's puppet master all along. That doesn't save her though, because Naruto and Sasuke seal her away into another moon in another dimension. After this, one might think that everything is said and done. Naruto and Sasuke are friends again, right? Wrong. They still hate each other, and Sasuke decides that he's gonna be the next main antagonist. But Naruto fights him, and in the process, they both lop off each other's arms. With Sasuke finally tired of being emo Prince of the Edgelords, he decides to be regular good guy Prince of the Edgelords. Naruto the Last, 1019 years after Kaguya. Well, technically it's now only 2 years after Kaguya because she came back. Ishiki's still in hiding and screwing around to find a way to reincarnate back into a better body, and Naruto is now the hero of the village. Hinata Hyuga loves him to death but is too shy to do anything about it. However, now she has a stalker. Remember when I said Hamada went to the moon? Well, all of his clan died off and now there's only one guy left. His name is Toneri, and his thing is not having eyeballs. But his other thing is having the best eyeballs when he finally gets some. Consider this Hamada's last screw you for being passed over for cool eyeballs. He stalks Hinata and is like, "Hey, wanna see a cool trick?" And she's like, "Sure." So he shows her his empty sockets and was like, "Wanna go make babies on the moon?" She was like, "No," but he's like, "Too bad, and bring your hot sister too." So Hinata and Hanabi both get kidnapped, and Toneri decides to use Hanabi for spare parts and takes her eyeballs. They turn into a dojutsu we've never heard of before called the Tenseigan, but basically their function is to be Majora's Mask and pull the moon out from the sky. Toneri hates humanity because they killed each other, which is kind of funny because his clan did the same thing. Naruto, though, decides to go to the moon and whoops his ass for kidnapping Hinata. And in the process, he discovers he loves her and is like, "Hey, wanna get married and have babies?" And she's like, "I thought you'd never freaking ask." And so they do, and that's how the Boruto series was created. What do you think about those bad apples? That's how it went word for word. Now that you know how the Naruto series went, you're ready to understand Boruto. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff if you want to see more videos like this. Until next time, peace out.